Man, what a weekend of college basketball. It was a great weekend. We had plenty on both the men's and the women's side. We had games on aircraft carriers, and we had upsets, you name it. It was a great weekend of basketball. Here at SlasherU, we like to give you, each of us, our 5 most interesting games of the weekend. We're going to go back and forth here, and we'll see how it goes. Steve, what was your most interesting games of the weekend?
Well, my Fec 5 for the weekend, I'm going to start with Michigan State and Gonzaga. Now, I don't know about you, Christian, and all of you out there watching this clip, but I was certain that Gonzaga was dead in the water, literally. On the aircraft carrier, I thought they were dead in the water through the first 3 minutes of Friday's game against Michigan State. Now, even with Joey Hauser going scoreless and fouling out, for Michigan State, I mean, we're in complete control. And I know people were talking about, well, gee, the sun was in Michigan State's eyes and the wind was blowing. The outdoor conditions had nothing to do really with the outcome of this game. But really what it boiled down to is the entire Spartan front court was in foul trouble by about halfway through the second half. And that's where the momentum of the game changed. It's also when Drew Timme started to take over the game. He got off to a slow start, but it really, up until that point, it looked like it was a Michigan State win. And it was an upset of the number 2 team in the country. Timme proved again why he will be in discussion for Player of the Year. When the Zags needed to right the ship, another bad nautical pun, Timme stepped up as he always has. The Spartans had no answer for him over the final 10 minutes. And then they even had their front court in foul trouble. There were some ticky-tack foul calls in this game. That's one thing that I will say. I was a little disappointed with that. I mean, I thought they would let these two play. But Timme just, maybe that extra space, maybe that extra freedom, maybe that helped him kind of rhythm. Hats off to Matty Sissoko. And he showed me something for Michigan State. He fouled out with 1:51 remaining. And it should be noted that from that point on, Michigan State did nothing offensively. I mean, Sissoko did a terrific job really controlling the paint, controlling the tempo of the game in so many different ways. Neither team shot particularly well. Again, I'm not blaming the outdoor conditions. It's not like, the basketball, the rims were too tight, the rims were too loose, whatever you want to come up with here. It's just what I think the end of this game showed was my concern for this Tom Izzo team. They play with heart, they play with hustle, but someone's going to have to score consistently for them. You can't have one of your better offensive players go scoreless for the game. And this really is what makes me question whether Michigan State is going to make it to the NCAA tournament this year. I was sitting there getting ready to eat my words again for the first 30 minutes of this game. But really after that, Gonzaga showed why they're number 2 in the nation. And I think Michigan State showed they need someone to step up and be their star. Maybe Sissoko is going to be that guy. I certainly was impressed with his game. What were your takeaways with this one, Christian?
Initially, right off the bat, when I think of this game, I think of at the beginning of the game, I saw on social media that they were worried about the sun shining in Michigan State's face, and that didn't seem to be a problem. Michigan State really had a great first half. And the foul trouble, that was definitely something that was an issue throughout it. And I'm with you. I think that there was some iffy calls. There was a call that I specifically remember. It was a battle between Malik Hall and Timme down low, and the ref should have just let him play. It was one of those, it's like they were both being aggressive, and it was actually Malik Hall's foul that fouled him out. So that was interesting, and I didn't really care for that one too much. Not saying that there was a bias or anything, if you will, towards the Bulldogs on that. I don't think that's any case whatsoever. But I do think that there was some iffy calls, especially in the paint, that could have just been let go, if you will. What else I worry about with this game, and I'm with you on this A little bit. I was a lot more higher on Michigan State than you were at the beginning of the season. I still do believe, I do have confidence in them, and we're going to really see if we have confidence in them when they play Kentucky on Tuesday night. They do need a score, a consistent score. You're right. And they need to find a way to get better percentage shots, especially towards the end of the game. I mean, that play at the end of the game for that final shot, you can't tell me that that was the play that Tom Izzo drew up. There's no way. There is no way whatsoever that that was the play that Tom Izzo drew up. I mean, he has been a coach for 28 years, has made the NCAA tournament for 24 straight of them. That's not the play that he would choose in the final seconds to try and take the lead. It was just poorly executed. It was good defense by Gonzaga. Great, I'll give you that. But there was got to be a way for Michigan State to find a better percentage shot than what they did to win the game. They're only down by one. They didn't need to shoot a 3-point basket, have a higher percentage shot to win the game. That comes, I think, with the lack of leadership, if you will. If you don't have a consistent scorer on the basketball court, then that means your leadership might be in question with who's on the court. That's something to keep in mind, and that might be something that needs to be fixed as well. I'm looking forward to seeing this team rebound. I don't know if they rebound against Kentucky, if you will, but I still think they're going to be right in the thick of it in the Big Ten all season long. I don't think Tom Izzo is going to let this team rest. I think that they're really going to figure some stuff out. Adjustments will be made. Joey Hauser didn't play that great, and that was something that hurt them as well, even though he fouled out, and that was obviously a big concern as well. Having him at that last shot might have changed some things if he was the guy shooting that shot. So foul consistency is something that really is going to have to change for the Spartan squad. I'm looking forward again to seeing how they rebound.
And again, that's where the officiating really bothered me, especially on a game that had national focus. I mean, you're going to have off nights with officials. Mm-hmm. And certainly when you're playing some of the mid-major conferences, I think the quality of refereeing is compromised to a degree. Either they're inexperienced or the better reps go to the more power conferences. But, for a game of this magnitude, be in prime time on Veterans Day, making a big deal of it. You can't let officials decide games. And really, in essence, the officials decided this game because so many Spartans fouled out or had to go to the bench for important stretches of games. And that was the thing that really cheapened the win for me. I mean, I'm a Gonzaga big fan. I mean, that would have been my alma mater had things in my family life had allowed me to go accept my scholarship to Gonzaga. So I'll always be a Gonzaga guy. But we need to see early games, they're trying to figure things out. Yeah, no, sorry, no.
With the schedule that Michigan State has, they can't use that as an excuse. They play Kentucky, then they play Villanova, then they play Bama, then they play Notre Dame. It's just one of those things that you can't use that as an excuse. You got to figure it out right away. You got to find a way to have consistent scoring. And Izzo knows that. I mean, he knew that he had one kind of warm-up game against Northern Arizona, and then he had to really take off. And the game against Northern Arizona showed some things that you maybe had a consistent shooter in Hauser, but then you didn't have it in the game against Gonzaga. Maybe we do find out that the shooting conditions on the Carrier were an issue for the Spartans, and they come in and play in the Champions Class against Kentucky, and then there's no issues at all. And we find that consistent shooter again in Hauser. Maybe Aiken steps up again, and we see Sissoko do things, and Malik Hall does great things. Maybe we see that. Maybe this is just one of those games that the conditions were an issue. Who knows? Or maybe it was something that they used as a crutch. But on the other side of the ball, Gonzaga has no rest either. They play Texas, then they go against Kentucky as well, and then they get a little bit of a rest, if you will, against Portland State and the Phil Knight legacy. So you never know how they play in invitationals like that. Both these teams are in the thick of it in their schedules, and this is exactly what you want to see, especially in November. You don't want to wait till conference play to see this. This is really where you get to see Gonzaga do their thing, though, because when they get to their West Coast games and they get to their conference games, if you will, you call it the cupcake part of their schedule, if you will, right? So this is the chance to see if Gonzaga can win some non-conference games especially against the Power 5, Power 6 schools, and actually solidify themselves as a true number 1 seed come March. So I'm looking forward to seeing them along this stretch, especially in November, and then when we get to them playing some of those bigger games in December as well. But again, going back to Michigan State, they really have to find that consistent shooter. We're going to be talking about that, and we're really going to be paying close attention as we get to Tuesday night against Kentucky.